One of my favourite films is a Woody Allen film called Midnight in Paris. I never tire of watching it, and I particularly love the music. In fact, over the weekend we were listening again to a CD we have of music from Woody Allen films. And such is the power that this music has over us, it stirred again within us the longing to spend some time at some point living and working in another European country, although those thoughts are never too far away at the best of times. Midnight in Paris follows the story of an American writer, Gil Pender, visiting Paris with his fiancée and her well-to-do family. They're all clearly at odds from the start, and that's exacerbated by the fact that Gil's romantic view of Paris is not shared by his fiancée and her parents. At midnight one night, Gil is walking back to the hotel alone when a 1920s car pulls up and the passengers, all in 1920s dress, persuade him to join them. They go to a party where Gil meets figures from the music and literature of that period like Cole Porter, Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway. I'm not going to say much more, as I would encourage you to watch the film if you haven't already seen it. But what I've been thinking about this week is the way that for Gil the 1920s is the perfect historical period, and he would love to live there. He feels more at home there than he does in his 21st century life. He can't understand why one of the people he meets there is dissatisfied with the 1920s and has a longing to be living in an earlier time, in the Belle Époque of Paris in the 1890s. And this person too gets the opportunity to change time periods, to change their story and start again in a different golden age. Graham picked me up on something I kept saying while he was working away recently, and I'm trying to train myself to get out of the habit. I was adopting an almost fatalistic approach to life, it seemed, as I kept saying, it is what it is. In other words, accept things as they are. We can't do anything to change anything, so don't worry about it. I do know that there are some things that are beyond my power to affect, and so I shouldn't waste too much mental energy on them. For example, no amount of time spent thinking, worrying, or complaining about this second lockdown is going to alter it. So the best thing I can do is to try to live well through it. It is what it is. But actually there are lots of things that I can do something about, and in those circumstances it's only apathy, lethargy or cynicism that makes me inactive. Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I think that whatever I try will probably not make much of a difference anyway, and sometimes I simply just don't care enough. Perhaps it's a situation that's slightly removed from me, and I think that somebody else is probably better placed than me to make a change, or at least that becomes my excuse. Or perhaps I feel a bit overwhelmed. I might think that if I was going to make a real difference, it's going to be a mammoth task, and do I really have time for this? Better not to start anything that I might not be able to manage, or that might prove too much. A few days ago I was listening to the Thought for the Day on Radio 4, which was being given by Bishop James Jones. He described an occasion on which he was asked by the Chief Rabbi Jonathan Sacks what were the 3 most important words Jesus said. He was a bit embarrassed to be asked this because he struggled to come up with an answer just like that. I think if I'd been put on the spot and been asked the question, I would probably have said something like, love one another. If we all lived by those words, and I mean the entire human race, and if we all learned to put the other first over our own wants and needs, then the world would definitely be a much better place. None of us would be saying it is what it is while feeling helpless, because there would be fairness and justice and well-being and love all round, and we would all be naturally looking out for each other. But however good these 3 words are, they're not the ones that Jonathan Sacks pointed out. He said that the 3 most important words Jesus said are, but I say. It was common for rabbis to say, it says in the law, and we do hear Jesus say this too, but Jesus took it further. It says in the law, or you've heard it said, but I say. And if you have a quick look at the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew's Gospel, particularly in chapter 5, you get a lot of this. You've heard it said, you shall not murder, and whoever murders will be liable to judgment. But I say that if you're angry with a brother or sister, you will be liable to judgment. Jesus takes the same approach on many of the 10 Commandments in this one chapter. Jesus is offering a new perspective, a different way of doing things, an alternative to what has always been. To go back to the 3 words that I might have chosen, Jesus said, "You've heard it said, you shall love your neighbour and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Don't just love the people it's easy to love and hate the rest. Love the ones who actively work against you and undermine you and make your life difficult. Love the ones with whom you disagree profoundly. Love the ones who can't even look at you. Love the ones who you want to go out of your way to avoid in the street. Love the ones who smile to your face but twist the knife behind your back. But I say, it's as though Jesus is saying, forget it is what it is. You don't have to live this way anymore. I'm telling you that you can choose a new and different way. You don't have to be stuck in this particular story. You can choose to be part of another story. You can discover yourself in a story that is altogether different. You can be a different person. You can choose a different response. There might be times when the kind of story we want to choose to live in is a fantasy. It might work in our heads, but it's far from possible in reality. Like the film I mentioned at the beginning, I would love to be able to jump into a car that takes me back to the 1920s and to meet the people who shaped the cultural life of their time. And today I could probably wear the clothes and adopt the hairstyles and listen to the music. I could turn my house into a shrine to the Art Deco movement. I would really love to do that. And I might even be able to eschew the technology that we're familiar with today and spend my days in a 1920s kind of way. All of these things are possible, but they don't give me access to a real 1920s life. All I can ever achieve is an imitation or some kind of false pretense. I'll never be able to fully engage in or be part of that life. But Jesus' call to change the story is completely opposite to this. We're not challenged to make a choice between reality as we know it and something completely fantastical and impossible, or something where it's only ever possible to stand on the edge. Jesus invites us to choose between 2 possible realities, both of which already exist. There is the life where we've heard it said that if someone hurts you, it's okay to hurt them back. We've heard it said that war and violence are acceptable solutions to problems. We've heard it said that it's most important to look out for number 1. We've heard it said that we need to consume more and more in order to feed the capitalist machine, without which the world will fall apart, surely. We've heard it said that giving the right outward impression is crucial despite what might lie beneath the facade. We've heard it said that there are some things that are the way they are and they will never change, and we are powerless to change them. And then there is the life that Jesus offers, the new story that is written just for us, and the eternal invitation to come and be part of it. We may have heard all this old stuff said over and over again, and perhaps we've become numb to it and don't realise how pernicious it really is, or perhaps we're sick of it, fed up with being told to accept it and wondering how to step off the merry-go-round and into something new. We've heard it said, but Jesus says something different. And the thing that Jesus offers is real and accessible and already exists right here and now. Come and be part of my story, Jesus says. Come and see what it's like when we learn how to love and care for one another. When we learn how to truly love and worship God, not just with our mouths, but with our hearts and actions, all focused in God's direction. Come and see what it's like to understand yourself as beloved and valued and special to God. Come and see what it's like when we accept our place in a different movement, a new regime that's characterized by love and mercy, humility and justice, gentleness and compassion. Come and see. I know what I want my story to be. I know which story I want to inhabit, even though I don't always manage to make the right choice. So I'm thankful that every day I receive a new invitation to be part of a radically different way of life, to change the story of my life and to take my place in the new story that God is writing around me and for me and with me.